Hey, did you hear the news? Dante Fowler is back in Dallas. That's right. Just when most fans and analysts thought his chapter with the Cowboys was over, the team pulls off a surprise move and brings him back on a one-year deal worth up to $8 million. Yeah, you heard that right. Up to $8 million. And honestly, that price tag alone already raises a lot of eyebrows. I mean, let's talk about that for a second. For a franchise known for being conservative with spending, especially in free agency, that number is not small. So, naturally, the question is, what's really behind this decision? Is this just another short-term move to plug a hole? Or is this a signal that the Cowboys are changing their approach heading into 2025? Are we finally seeing a front office willing to get a little more aggressive, maybe even a little bolder? And let's not forget, Fowler didn't just walk in off the street. He's coming off a strong season where he racked up 10.5 sacks. That's no joke. He proved he still has juice. And maybe, just maybe, the Cowboys believe he's got even more in the tank for this new chapter. But now I want to hear from you. Straight up, did you like this move? Was bringing Fowler back a smart call or just a panic signing? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Type Y for yes if you're on board with it, or N for no if you think the Cowboys missed the mark. Also, what do you think this kind of signing says about how the Cowboys are planning this offseason? Is this just the beginning of something bigger? Because trust me, there's a lot more to unpack here, and what this move could mean for the rest of the roster might surprise you even more. Now let's get into what really matters, how this move actually impacts the Cowboys on the field. Because look, Dante Fowler isn't just a name on a jersey. When he's locked in, he brings real disruption off the edge. Last season, even in a rotational role, the guy was consistently applying pressure, creating havoc in the backfield, and forcing quarterbacks out of rhythm. He finished with 10.5 sacks, but his impact went beyond the stat sheet. His QB hits, tackles for loss, and pass rush win rate were all strong. And now, back in Dallas, he steps into a group that already includes Micah Parsons, Sam Williams, and Junior Fehoko. Plus, don't forget about Viliami Fehoko and Chauncey Golston in the mix. Add Fowler to that rotation and suddenly the Cowboys have something they haven't had in a while. True depth at edge. Rusher. Think about it. Micah Parsons is obviously the centerpiece. He's elite. But he's also been overused in past seasons because there wasn't enough support around him. Bringing Fowler back means Parsons doesn't have to carry the entire pass rush on his back anymore. And that could actually make Micah even more dangerous, because now teams can't just key in on him every snap. And what about Sam Williams? He's shown flashes, and maybe this is the move that finally frees him up to take that next step without the pressure of being the number 2 guy. The rotation now becomes much more flexible. You've got situational options, fresh legs late in games, and the ability to keep your best guys healthy deeper into the season. So I want to throw this question your way, because I've been thinking about it ever since the news dropped. With this current rotation, do you think the Cowboys' pass rush is already among the best in the league? Let me know in the comments below. I want to see your take, vote yes or no, and tell me why. Because if you're asking me, this move doesn't just boost the depth chart, it could change the entire identity of this defense. And that takes us straight into the bigger picture. What this signing really says about the Cowboys' direction in 2025. All right, let's step back for a second and talk about the bigger message behind this move. Because yeah, bringing Dante Fowler back is important for the defense, but let's not ignore what it says about the Cowboys' overall strategy heading into 2025. A one-year deal worth up to $8 million. That's not nothing. For a franchise that's been notoriously conservative in free agency, that number stands out. You and I both know how many off-seasons we've watched the Cowboys sit on their hands while other teams made bold moves. But this time, it feels different. This kind of deal suggests a shift in philosophy. It's not a blockbuster contract, sure, but it's aggressive by recent Dallas standards. It shows a willingness to pay for proven production, even if it's short-term. Maybe, just maybe, the front office is finally getting the message that this team can't keep relying only on the draft to fix everything. And think about the timing. With some veteran contracts coming off the books soon and pressure mounting after another disappointing season, this could be the start of a new approach. One where the Cowboys try to actually win now, not just build for someday. But here's the question a lot of people are asking, is Fowler here to eventually replace DeMarcus Lawrence? Because let's be honest, Tank is still a leader, but his role has started to shift, and his cap hit is no small thing. Fowler might not be a permanent solution, but this move could be the front office hedging their bets. If Fowler balls out again this season, the transition away from Tank becomes a lot easier. So, what do you think? Is this just a smart depth move, or does it hint at a bigger change in how the Cowboys operate? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and while you're there, give this move a grade, A, B, C, D, or F. Let's see where the fan base stands on this one. And speaking of moves, there's still a lot of offseason ahead. So let's take a look at what could be coming next, and what the Fowler signing means for the rest of the Cowboys' roster-building strategy. So now that Dante Fowler is officially back in the building, let's ask the obvious question. What comes next for the Cowboys this offseason? Because if edge rusher was one of the top priorities heading into free agency, well, it looks like that box just got checked. But don't get it twisted, the job's far from done. With the Fowler deal in place, the draft strategy might take a turn. Before this move, a lot of mock drafts had the Cowboys targeting another pass rusher early. Now, that need doesn't feel as urgent anymore. So maybe the front office can shift its focus. Wide receiver, cornerback, or even running back could now move to the top of the list. Let's talk wide receiver for a second. CeeDee Lamb is a superstar, no doubt, but behind him, there's still a lack of consistent firepower. If the Cowboys want to truly support Dak, or whoever ends up under center long-term, they need more dynamic options on the outside. And what about the secondary? Cornerback depth has been shaky, especially with injuries last season. Wouldn't be a shock if Dallas looked for a physical, playmaking CB early in the draft. Then there's the D-line, IAs. Rotation itself. With Fowler in, there's still room for more tweaks. Solomon Thomas, who's been mentioned in some circles, could be an intriguing addition with a hybrid role. Inside-out flexibility that helps balance the line. If that happens, who loses space on the roster? That's where things get interesting. Some of the younger guys might start feeling the heat. So I've got to ask you, if you were the GM right now, what position would you prioritize next? Drop your answer in the comments. WR, CBRB, or something else? Let's put you in charge for a minute and see where the fan base stands. And hey, don't go anywhere, because up next we're getting into the big question. Is Fowler really the missing piece? Is this the move that puts the Cowboys back on track for a deep playoff run? All right, let's get real now. After everything we've walked through, the numbers, the strategy, the potential ripple effects, there's one last question hanging in the air. Is Dante Fowler truly the missing piece this defense needed? Look, nobody's saying he's going to come in and be the savior of the franchise. But here's the thing. When you put a proven edge rusher like Fowler back into the mix, especially alongside a freak of nature like Micah Parsons, you're not just adding a body. You're changing the entire identity of this front seven. Let's be honest, a solid edge rusher like Fowler gives you between 6 and 10 sacks per season when used right. That's not just production. It's pressure. It's disruption. It's offensive lines having to think twice. And when you've already got someone like Parsons drawing double teams, that opens up so many opportunities for Fowler to feast. So yeah, maybe this isn't the blockbuster signing that shakes the NFL world, but it might be exactly the kind of calculated, smart move that makes the difference between an average defense and a dangerous one. But let me throw this question straight to you. Is this the kind of move that changes the Cowboys' level? Or are we just getting our hopes up again? Because we've been down this road before, haven't we? The offseason hype, the roster upgrades, and then the heartbreak. So let's do this. Go to the comments right now and vote. Are the Cowboys finally on the right path, or are we in for another disappointing season? Just type playoffs or deception and let your voice be heard. And hey, If you're enjoying this kind of deep dive into every move this team makes, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and stick with us. Because this offseason, it's just heating up, and every move counts. We'll be here breaking it all down with you, one step at a time. Because this year, just maybe, it really can be different.